2 weeks ago we tried to find out if Crash Bandicoot was possible to complete without breaking any boxes, only to quickly discover it was futile and we ended up beating the game while having to break 27 boxes. So let's see if we have more luck with the sequel, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. Rules remain largely the same as the last video, but with a couple more added. Firstly, don't break any boxes, this is pretty much a given. Secondly, exclamation point boxes are allowed, but only the silver ones. Green exclamation point boxes detonate nitro boxes. Again, much like the last game, secret levels will not be completed as part of the challenge, but this is just because, they're not required to beat the game, so there's no point. And lastly, Cortex Strikes Back has a lot of what I like to call don't worry about it boxes. These are boxes that will break no matter what the player does, there is no way to avoid these, and don't worry, I'll point these out when we come to them. But before we begin, I first need to address the initial video. At the end of that video I came to the conclusion that it took 27 boxes to beat Crash Bandicoot. However, people in the comments and the Crash Bandicoot subreddit did point out that the 7 boxes in Lights Out weren't necessary. So I tested it out myself and sure enough, Lights Out was totally possible. So I'm going to revise that count and I'm declaring now that Crash Bandicoot only requires 20 boxes broken to complete the game. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it and begin the Crash 2 Boxless Challenge. We begin this game in this little section that leads us getting kidnapped by Cortex. There are boxes in this little section, but they're inconsequential because we don't get anything if we break them anyway, so let's just leave them. Cortex delivers this little speech, and after that we're in the first level, Turtle Woods. We already know going into it that this level is possible because this level contains the blue gem, which is obtained by not breaking any boxes. So we go ahead and yoink that and end our first level on a very good note. Snow Go is next, and near the beginning we have this little thing of boxes, but a quick little slide jump makes it possible to get past them. However, almost immediately after that we come to this. Hey, guess what? It happened again. We can't go behind these 2 boxes and the level boundaries prevent us from jumping around the front, so yet again, in level 2, we find out it's not possible to beat Crash Bandicoot without breaking any boxes. But hey, we didn't let that stop us last time, so let's carry on. After breaking these 2 boxes, the rest of the level offers a little challenge as we beat it without breaking any more boxes and grabbing the red gem too because we can. The boxes in Hangay aren't too hard to avoid for the most part. The biggest struggle comes from navigating through the boxes on the jet ski while also avoiding enemies and whirlpools. It might take some tries, but it can be done. Our next level is the pits. Halfway through the level you'll be forced to choose a path. Because we need to collect crystals to advance in the game, take the left path because that's the one with the crystal obviously. Luckily no boxes present any challenge, so the pits is another breath of fresh air. Crash Dash is our first chase level and introduces our first don't worry about it boxes. If you recall in the last game, boulders wouldn't break any boxes on their path, they just rolled straight over them. Well, that's not happening anymore, as from now on, boulders, polar bears, and in the next game, dinosaurs, will break any boxes they come across. But since we have no involvement in those boxes being broken, don't worry about it, they won't be added to the counter. Other than the 6 boxes broken by the boulder, no other boxes need to be broken in Crash Dash, so it's another perfect level. We reach our first boss now as Ripperoo makes his return. While the boss in the first game required us to blow up TNT boxes, this time it's the reverse, as Ripperoo lays down TNT and nitro boxes that he blows up himself, so don't worry about it. Snowbiz is our next level, and this is where the game decides to take the piss, as we come to the same set of boxes that thwarted us in Snow Go, but we can actually get past these ones. That's nice. Thankfully it doesn't pull anything else, so we can complete this level just fine. Air Crash is another jet ski level and presents the same challenges as the first one, with the same outcomes too, as we have another perfect level on our hands. Bear It is our first polar bear riding stage, and similar to Hog Wild, it presents a fun little challenge. There are several don't worry about it TNT boxes in this level, specifically 9 of them, but other than that, it's another perfect level. Crash Crush is another chase level, which means there are more don't worry about it boxes. There are also a few boost pads which are best avoided just so you don't accidentally break any boxes yourself. It's a trickier level but still doable. The Eel Deal is our first sewer level and there isn't a lot of challenge. We grab the green gem along the way, just because we can, and finish the level as normal, all without breaking a box. The Komodo Bros are our next bosses and they're an absolute piece of piss to defeat. Let's just move on. Plant Food is our third and final jet ski level, and it's quite hard, I won't lie, because of these fucking Venus flytraps and how cheap they are. If you kill the last set of traps before getting on the jet ski, you can make it to the end without breaking any boxes. Sewer or Later is another sewer level, obviously. A lot of this level is spent stood still, waiting, and the only thing that presents any real challenge is this wall at the end of the level that we can easily slide spin jump over. The sewer levels aren't great if I'm honest. This one, for example, arbitrarily makes you backtrack because they have a split path, where one side has the crystal and the other side has the exit, so you need to go back on yourself. I don't like it. Anyway, Sewer or Later is a perfect level. Bear Down is our next level riding a polar bear, and it's much of the same, with only 2 Don't Worry About It boxes this time. There's not a lot to say about this one. Road to Ruin is the first of 2 Ruin levels, and it's not too hard. A couple of jumps require a bit of precision, but that's pretty much it. Unbearable is our first chase level with a polar bear, and it's a bit terrifying. People in 1997 were okay with this apparently. The bear can also break nitro boxes without dying as well, so I don't even know what's going on anymore. Towards the end of the level, Polar the polar bear shows up for some reason and turns the level into a bit of a mess. Anyway, the big ass polar bear breaks 16 boxes, but say it with me kids, don't worry about it. Tiny Tiger is the next boss, and he's also a cakewalk, so on to the next levels. Hanging Out is the last sewer level, and it's also the worst level in the entire game. Why? Well, shortly after the beginning we come to the first handlebar section of the game, and our progress is stopped by this one box. It's positioned in such a way which means we can't get around it without breaking it, so we had to add it to the counter, and kick me in the dick because as soon as we finish this section, we're presented with this fucking thing. Guess what? We can't get through it without blowing any of it up, and blowing any of it up means blowing all of it up, so whack another 12 onto that counter. And when you finish kicking me in the dick, do it again because there are 2 more boxes on the handlebar straight after this. After the entire thing, the only challenge left in this level is jumping over nitro boxes, and we finished the level having broken 15 boxes. Just to remind you, we beat the first game as a whole breaking only 20 boxes. This one level requires you to break 75% of the overall box total of the first game. Fuck this level and everything about it. Digging It is next, and if only to slow my heart rate back down to normal, the boxes are all avoidable. Just don't do what I did and choose the death route and not the normal route because I forgot which one had the crystal. I don't know, it just failed to occur to me why a necessary crystal will be in an optional death route. I don't know, I'll probably still anger it Hanging Out. Anyway, Digging It's a perfect level. Cold Hard Crash is our next stop, and to my surprise, the K section doesn't start with boxes we have trouble getting around, which is nice. I tried to jump around these bouncing boxes and accidentally entered the bonus level and immediately died, but I respawned past the bouncing boxes, so I guess I did it? Straight after the bonus area is a TNT box that will begin the countdown timer after an icicle falls on it. I'm willing to count this as a don't worry about it box, as well as the box next to it that also explodes. After that comes this section, and this comes with its own challenge. It's possible to bypass the boxes on top, but you need to activate the exclamation point box in the bottom section, which will require breaking 2 boxes in front of it. Shortly after the Death Route platform is what gives us the biggest challenge in this level. Whatever I did, after sliding down the icy slopes, I would not jump off without breaking at least 1 box. No matter how hard I pushed the left button, I could not move without breaking 1 box. It always happened. Which meant only one thing. We had to take the Death Route. The Death Route in Cold Hard Crash is renowned as being one of the hardest in the entire series, and that's whilst breaking boxes. But with careful movement and knowing when to jump, the Death Route is done and we're on the home stretch, meaning it only takes 2 boxes to beat Cold Hard Crash, which is a lot better than I was expecting. Ruination is our second Ruins level, and it requires a few precise jumps and slides to dispatch enemies close to boxes, but other than that, no issues at all completing Ruination without breaking any boxes. Behaving is like Digging It, just not as annoying. The only thing that presents any semblance of a challenge is just making sure not to break any boxes while digging. It's actually pretty easy and we reach the end without breaking any boxes. Engine is our penultimate boss and he's the best one in the entire game, but he doesn't have any boxes, so let's just move on to the last few levels. Piston It Away is easy enough. A couple of precise jumps are needed, but that's mainly it. The only difficulty comes from the enemies and the environment. Rocket is the first of 2 jetpack levels, which are well known for their janky ass controls. but once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad, and we ride the jetpack to the end without breaking any boxes. Night Fight is next, and it's another pretty easy level, just don't take the death route this time when the paths branch. Pack Attack is the second jetpack level, and again it's all much of the same. No real challenge, you can beat it with no boxes easily. Which brings us to the final level, Spaced Out. More precise jumps and more avoiding enemies in the environment. There is one part during the Nitro Box section which requires some precise control when you come to the scientist. Get the timing wrong, you either spin him into a Nitro Box or you end up getting spun into a Nitro Box yourself. But if you time it right, you can slide spin jump and run on top of him. It can take a few tries, but when you end up doing it, you feel like a fucking god. And that's the last real challenge we have in the game, as we finish Spaced Out without breaking any boxes, before we beat the game by spinning Cortex into space, presumably to his death. So let's review. By my estimates, 19 boxes are required to beat Cortex Strikes Back, which is one less than the first game. An astonishing 22 out of 25 levels can be completed without breaking a single box. And as mentioned before, Hanging Out provided the most boxes broken in a single level with 15. Now, as was the case in the last video, if I have made any mistakes, then please don't hesitate to tell me. And I'll address anything in the next video, where I round off the trilogy and try to find out if you can beat Crash Bandicoot Warped without breaking any boxes. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.